Welcome back to 110 Daily on the 110 Sports Network. Josh Dorian, Chris Brown. Before we get out of here on a Monday, let's do winners and losers. Josh, who's your winner from the weekend?
My winner, U.S. European-based internationals. Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams both score. Josh Sargent scores a great goal for Werder Bremen. Mark McKenzie, Brendan Aronson make their competitive debuts for Genk and Red Bull Salzburg, respectively. Unfortunately, Christian Pulisic didn't do that much, and Matthew Hoppe didn't score against Bayern Munich, but Matthew Hoppe scored a bunch of goals before that, so that's okay. And he plays for a team that was never going to beat Bayern, so that's fine. But really good week for these guys who just continue to produce at the highest level of soccer in the world. McKinney doing it for Juventus, Tyler Adams for a very good Leipzig team. Now you've got Mark McKenzie, Brendan Aronson into the fray. Aronson in particular with a really good Salzburg team that's fun to watch. So very good weekend for the U.S. internationals in Europe. Wanted to give them a shout out. They're my winner.
Chris?
Yeah, I've got it's like a two-parter, but they're both small. They're both together. They're both baseball because I have to get back to that eventually a little bit here.
Sure.
Brad Hand, veteran left-hander for one of the best relievers in baseball over the last half decade. Really, really impressive. He's coming off a career year even, 2.05 ERA in 2020. And the Indians decided, because they're cheap, they decided they didn't want to pay him the $10 million option that he had, a team option that he had for 2021. So they placed him on waivers, which meant that any team in Major League Baseball could claim him, and all it would cost them is that option, $10 million. They wouldn't have to give up any players or anything, and nobody did. So it was sort of saying every team in baseball, nobody's willing to pay him, just sign him to a $10 million contract. And then yesterday, he signs with the Nationals for $10.5 million.
Nice.
So he gets his $500,000 extra. So he's
I like it.
one winner for me. My other one's Jamison Tyone. He got traded from the Steelers. He got traded from the Pirates to the Yankees for a couple of prospects over the weekend. It's been a really interesting journey quite a journey for him. He was the second overall pick in 2010, right after Bryce Harper, right before Manny Machado. In 2014, he had Tommy John surgery. In 2015, he had a sports hernia. In 2017, he was diagnosed with testicular cancer. In 2019, he undergoes a second Tommy John surgery. He is pushed through all of this. He's supposedly going to be healthy, fully healthy for spring training, and looking to finally get a chance to break out. And now, instead of being on the worst team in Major League Baseball, team that could be historically bad, he gets to go be a number 2 or 3 starter for the New York Yankees. So by all accounts, just this warrior guy who just keeps going out and trying to get there. And now he's going to get a chance with a great team. So those are my 2-part winners.
I like that. I like both of those. My winner's McCole Hardman. My boy. He's my winner for a couple of reasons. One, his fumble didn't, the Bills didn't win this game by 4, right? So, they didn't win this game by 5. So
Nobody's going to be talking about
So
that.
nobody's going to be talking about what McCole Hardman did there. So he's my winner in that sense, but also immediately got a chance to put his impact on this game in a positive way, like literally the next possession. He has the touchdown catch right at the goal line. He has the 50-yard, reverse sweep play to immediately let people forget about that. I had to give a shout to McCole Hardman because he fumbled a ball on the 2 and still did, and his impact on this game was more the positive impact than the negative impact, right? He had 2 catches for 4 yards. And that run play, the trick play, the sweep, the reverse, whatever, was the only carry he had. So it's not like he rattled off 8 catches for 100 yards and put his stamp on the game that way. But on this Monday morning, we're not talking about the first quarter punt that he botched that ultimately gave the Bills all the momentum, and the Bills are now in the Super Bowl. We don't have that, and that's a good thing for McCole Hardman, and also he did some good things after that happened. So he's my winner. Josh, your loser.
I have 2, so I guess I'll just throw them both out there. They're both pretty quick. One, Conor McGregor.
Oh.
I can't pretend to provide expert analysis here, but that just not good for the legacy, the reputation when you talk the way that he does, and then that happens.
And you're minus 300 on the betting pages. Like you can't, and you get knocked out. Like people were like everywhere. I can't tell you how many tweets I've seen of I'm going McGregor in the first round, McGregor in the second round, and like everybody was wrong, and it just was But you can't. You got at some point, right? Because now he's a 500 fighter. Like not for his career, but like recently, it's like, okay, you knocked a guy out with your shoulder the last time you fought, but like the time before that, you got smoked by Khabib, and now you're getting smoked by this guy. So, yeah.
And then the other one, Tennessee, they lost to Florida and Missouri by a combined 35 points. They're 4-3 in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you didn't have Jaden Springer for the Missouri game. This is built to be your conference, and you're 4-3, and Alabama's 8.
And your rival's 8-0. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not great.
Chris, who's your loser?
I'm actually I thought about going with Tennessee. I'm going with the same team that I used as my loser for last week, which I'm not going to get in the habit of, but I feel like it's deserved. Clemson basketball.
Yeah.
They're the Virginia this year. They're the Virginia of this year. That defense is awesome. They just can't score the basketball.
Yeah, and over a week ago, they were in the top 15. They were 9-1. They had visions of winning the ACC. Last week, we talked about how Virginia beat them by 35, and then they lost to Georgia Tech by 18, and then over the weekend they lost to Florida State. They lost by 19, but they trailed by 35 in the second half. They've been outscored by 72 points in their last 3 games. It makes Kansas and Duke's 3-game skids look pleasant and fun because of how bad things are. And yeah, their defense is right. That's their calling card. They can't score, but they also have dropped from first in defensive efficiency in the country. So they were first.
Yeah.
Like, they're clearly a gifted defensive team. Now they're 24th. And so they got to figure that out. Yeah. And right, their offensive upside's only so high, but they gotta. It's rough.
Yeah, it's just not a good look. And look, here we are again on January 25th, and the best team in the ACC is Virginia, like freaking clockwork. Or
Yep.
Best team in the ACC, debatable, but winning the SEC, and they just are tasked with beating Florida State and Louisville down the stretch, essentially. But death, taxes, and Tony Bennett having a chance to win the ACC, man. My loser is young NFL head coaches. Young NFL coaches didn't have a good weekend. Matt LaFleur, that was the wrong call. Kicking a field goal there is the wrong call. Sean McDermott coached like he was scared. And after the carousel that saw so many young guys get head coaching jobs, Bruce Arians is 68 and Andy Reid is 62. That's who's coaching in the Super Bowl. Now, those two guys are also coaching Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, so I get it. But those young guys were also coaching Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen this weekend. It's not like, I mean, those are the other 2 of the 6 best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, 7 best quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is up there in, second, third area, depending on how you feel about Josh Allen. And this year he was one of the best 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. So it's not like we're talking about, Jimmy G or somebody that they were coaching. It's right. This isn't going to change the trend of young coaches getting NFL head coaching jobs, but here we are with all of with young coaches having super talented teams, and this week it was the old guys who were clearly the better head coaches, and sometimes experience is more important than the young guy because like the secret here is that like Sean McVay, he got to a Super Bowl, but Sean McVay hasn't gotten exactly close since, and it's not like right, and he didn't win that Super Bowl, right? So we got swept off our feet by Sean McVay, but it's not like he's continued to take the world by storm after the Rams went to the Super Bowl. Old guys keep going to the Super Bowl, and we've got 2 guys that are over the age of 60 in the Super Bowl again this year. So it's not going to change anything, right? I recognize that, but it was a good week for old head coaches, and after the carousel and everybody getting their new head coach, their new young head coach, to watch young head coaches look like the moment might just be a little bit too big for them at the moment. And I think, and I would put Sean McDermott and Matt LaFleur over anybody who got hired this week, right? And still Andy Reid and Bruce Arians are the guys who are still standing after this weekend. So it's not going to change anything, but the old guys came out on top this week in the coaching department.
And look at the staffs. Kansas City, you got Eric Bieniemy and Steve Spagnuolo.
Mm-hmm.
And in Tampa, you got Byron Leftwich, who did a great job adjusting and figuring out how to make this offense work. And Todd Bowles getting that defense to play at a high level, make these plays. Devin White, you draft Antoine Winfield. Those are really good staffs, hired and mentored by really good head coaches. And that's what we have is you've got all of these guys bringing their defensive back coach or their passing game coordinators or whatever with them as they take their head coaching jobs under the age of 40. There's plenty of experience in those. And Leftwich obviously is not all that experienced because he was a quarterback not all that long ago. But Bruce Arians knows how to build a staff. He's got the most diverse staff in the NFL. Bieniemy's been around. Obviously, Steve Spagnuolo's been around. These guys just these coaches are willing to hire really smart people that are going to challenge them too. And I think that's part of this as well. Is they understand I need to be good and my staff needs to be good. And voila, you have two teams in the Super Bowl with great head coaches and great staff.
Yeah, it's a good.
And now it's time for those. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good, Chris. Go.
I was just gonna say, now it's time for those young head coaches to see if they're gonna separate themselves from good to great. Are they gonna learn from it? Like now's the time, right? It's not. There's no huge shame in it because they're gonna be back. Both these coaches are gonna be back. They're both talented coaches. But now the question is, what do you learn from it? Because that's gonna separate you from good to great.
Yep. Yeah.
Also, having former head coaches on your staff matters.
Yeah, it doesn't happen
Todd
like
Bowles, Steve Spagnuolo.
It doesn't happen like it does in the NBA. Like Steve Nash got hired and immediately went and hired everybody who had more experience than them, and everybody joining young head coaches is also young guys. Like it makes sense, but if I'm a 37-year-old head coach, I'm going to get the perennial assistant coach who's maybe had a shot at a head coaching job at one point in his career, but has really settled in as a veteran coordinator to try and get him to come and be my mentor in a way and help me learn the ropes here as well and bring all that experience. But young head coaches, they took multiple real L's this weekend, but also they took them to guys who are over the age of 60. So they're my losers. Thank you so much for making us part of your day here at 110 Daily on a Monday. I think right now we're planning to come back on Friday. If something massive changes between now and then, we'll be back before then. But thank you so much for making us part of your day. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you right back here on Friday.